Everyone believes they're too smart to be manipulated until it's already happened. The most dangerous manipulation never looks like control. It looks like love, opportunity, friendship, and even kindness. Every day, people quietly influence your emotions, your decisions, and your future without you realizing it. But what if you could see every hidden motive before it trapped you? What if you became the one person no liar, narcissist, or master manipulator could control? In this video, you'll uncover the psychological principles that make certain people impossible to deceive, impossible to pressure, and impossible to break. Once you understand them, manipulation loses its power forever. Most people imagine manipulation as something obvious. They picture a ruthless schemer, a liar with bad intentions, or someone trying to force them into submission. But real manipulation is far more sophisticated than that. It arrives quietly. It wears the face of kindness, concern, romance, friendship, or opportunity. It doesn't demand control, it invites it. That is precisely why so many intelligent people become victims. They are not weak. They are simply unaware of the invisible forces shaping their decisions. Think about the moments in your life when you agreed to something you never truly wanted. Perhaps you said yes because you didn't want to disappoint someone. Perhaps you stayed silent because conflict made you uncomfortable. Maybe you ignored your instincts because someone praised you, flattered your ego, or convinced you that questioning them would make you seem selfish. None of these moments felt like manipulation. They felt natural. That is the genius of psychological influence. The most effective manipulation never announces itself. Human beings are emotional creatures long before they are rational ones. We like to believe logic guides our choices, but emotions usually reach the destination first, while logic simply justifies the journey afterward. A skilled manipulator understands this better than you do. They rarely argue with your reason. Instead, they appeal to your fears, your hopes, your loneliness, your ambition, or your desire to be accepted. Once they gain access to your emotions, your decisions begin to feel like your own, even when they are not. Watch people carefully. Notice how some individuals constantly create urgency, making every decision feel like it must happen immediately. Others shower you with excessive praise until you lower your guard. Some make you feel guilty for protecting your own time or saying no. Others subtly convince you that they alone understand you, slowly isolating you from anyone who might challenge their influence. Different methods, same objective. They want you reacting instead of thinking. The greatest mistake is believing manipulation only happens in toxic relationships. It exists everywhere. In business, people exploit your greed. In friendships, they exploit your loyalty. In romance, they exploit your longing for connection. In everyday conversations, they exploit your need to appear kind, generous, or agreeable. The battlefield is not outside you. It is inside your own mind. This is why self-awareness is more valuable than intelligence. Intelligence helps you solve problems. Self-awareness helps you recognize when you have become the problem, when your own habits, insecurities, and emotional blind spots are being used against you. Every emotional trigger you leave unexplored becomes a handle someone else can grab. From this day forward, stop asking only what people are saying. Ask yourself why they are saying it now. Observe patterns instead of promises. Watch actions instead of performances. The moment you become curious instead of emotionally reactive, you interrupt the cycle that manipulators depend upon. Awareness creates distance, and distance creates clarity. Remember this: manipulation survives in the shadows, but awareness brings it into the light. And once you can see the game, you never have to play it again. Once you begin to recognize manipulation, something remarkable happens. You stop seeing the world as a place filled with powerful manipulators, and you begin seeing it as a place filled with emotional triggers. That realization changes everything, because the truth is, no one can consistently manipulate you without first gaining access to your emotions. They don't need to control your thoughts if they can control your reactions. The moment you react without awareness, you've handed someone else the steering wheel. Most people believe strength is about speaking louder, arguing harder, or proving themselves right. But real strength is much quieter than that. It is the ability to remain calm when someone expects you to explode. It is the discipline to remain silent when someone is trying to provoke you. It is the confidence to walk away when someone desperately wants you to stay and fight. Emotional control is not weakness. It is one of the highest forms of power. Pay attention to the people who seem to know exactly which buttons to press. They criticize you just enough to make you defend yourself. They ignore you long enough to make you chase their approval. They flatter you when they want something, then withdraw their warmth the moment they've gotten what they came for. None of this is random. It is a calculated attempt to move you emotionally. Because people who can predict your emotions can often predict your decisions. This is why your greatest vulnerability is not your lack of intelligence. It is your lack of emotional discipline. Anger can make you reveal information you should have kept private. Fear can make you accept opportunities that are traps. Loneliness can convince you to trust people who have never earned that privilege. Pride can push you into battles that never needed to be fought. Every emotion has value, but every emotion also becomes dangerous when it begins making decisions for you. The solution is not to become cold or emotionless. That is impossible, and it is not desirable. Your emotions are signals, not enemies. The mistake is allowing them to become your commander instead of your advisor. Feel everything, but obey nothing until you've had time to think. That simple habit can save you from years of regret. Develop the habit of creating a pause between what happens to you and how you respond. That pause may last only a few seconds, but within those few seconds lies your freedom. When someone insults you, pause. When someone pressures you into making a quick decision, pause. When someone tries to make you feel guilty for protecting your boundaries, pause. Manipulators thrive on speed because speed leaves no room for reflection. Patience forces their strategy into the open. You will notice something fascinating as you practice this discipline. People who once controlled your emotions will become confused. They expect the old version of you, the one who reacted instantly, explained every decision, defended every accusation, and sought approval at every opportunity. But now they meet silence instead of panic, observation instead of impulse, and confidence instead of insecurity. Suddenly, their usual tactics stop working. The person who cannot control your emotions cannot control your choices. That is why emotional mastery is not merely self-improvement, it is self-protection. Every calm response weakens the influence of those who seek to manipulate you. Every thoughtful decision strengthens your independence. Over time, your greatest weapon is no longer what you say or do. It is the fact that your inner world no longer belongs to anyone else. Master your emotions, and you take away the only doorway through which manipulation can enter. Once you gain control over your emotions, you begin to notice something that most people never see. The world is constantly revealing itself through patterns. People tell you who they are long before they ever admit it with words. The problem is that most of us are trained to listen to what people say instead of studying what they repeatedly do. Words are easy to manufacture. Behavior is much harder to fake over time. Think about the people who have disappointed or betrayed you in the past. If you look back honestly, you'll probably discover that the warning signs were there from the very beginning. There were small inconsistencies you chose to ignore. Promises that never quite matched reality. Tiny moments that made you uncomfortable, but seemed too insignificant to question. You convinced yourself that you were overthinking, that you should give them another chance, that they didn't really mean what they did. In reality, your intuition was collecting evidence while your emotions were busy making excuses. This is why one of the greatest forms of intelligence is learning to observe without immediately judging. Most people enter conversations looking for confirmation of what they already believe. Instead, become curious. Watch how someone behaves when they don't get what they want. Observe how they treat people who have nothing to offer them. Notice whether they take responsibility for their mistakes or constantly blame someone else. Pay attention to whether their character remains consistent across different situations. Character is not revealed during comfort. It is exposed during pressure. Manipulators understand the power of performance. They know how to appear generous when an audience is watching. They know how to sound sincere when they need your trust. They know how to mirror your values, your dreams, and even your fears to create the illusion of deep connection. This is why first impressions are often the most dangerous. Charm is not character, confidence is not integrity, intelligence is not wisdom. Never confuse someone's ability to impress you with their ability to be trusted. There is another habit that quietly protects you from manipulation. Stop falling in love with potential. Too many people become attached to who someone could become instead of accepting who they consistently are. They excuse dishonesty because the person is talented. They overlook disrespect because the person is charismatic. They ignore repeated warning signs because they are emotionally invested in an imagined future. Hope becomes the blindfold that manipulation depends upon. Train yourself to value consistency over intensity. A person who respects you only when it benefits them is revealing a pattern. Someone who repeatedly crosses your boundaries after apologizing is revealing a pattern. Someone whose words constantly change while their self-interest remains the same is revealing a pattern. Patterns matter because they predict the future far better than promises ever will. This doesn't mean becoming cynical or assuming the worst in everyone. It means becoming disciplined enough to let time reveal the truth. Time strips away performances. Eventually, everyone becomes too tired to maintain a mask forever. The patient observer always gains an advantage, because while others are captivated by appearances, they are quietly collecting evidence. When you stop reacting to words and start studying patterns, people lose the ability to deceive you with empty performances. You no longer chase charm, dramatic emotions, or convincing speeches. You trust actions, consistency, and time. And that simple shift changes everything. Never let promises decide who you trust. Let patterns make the decision for you. Once you learn to read people's patterns instead of believing every promise they make, a new challenge appears. You can recognize manipulation, you can control your emotions, and you can see hidden motives. But none of that matters if you still allow people unrestricted access to your life. Awareness without boundaries is like locking your front door while leaving every window wide open. Sooner or later, someone will find another way in. The strongest people are not those who never encounter manipulators. They are the ones who refuse to reward manipulative behavior. Every boundary you fail to enforce teaches others how to treat you. People are always observing what you tolerate. If you repeatedly sacrifice your peace to avoid disappointing others, they quickly learn that guilt is the easiest way to control you. If you constantly explain yourself, apologize for your decisions, or seek permission to protect your own time, they discover that your need for approval is stronger than your commitment to yourself. One of the hardest lessons in life is understanding that saying no does not make you selfish. It makes you clear. Manipulators depend on confusion. They want you questioning yourself, doubting your instincts, and feeling responsible for emotions that do not belong to you. The moment you say no with confidence and without unnecessary explanation, you interrupt the script they expected you to follow. Notice how uncomfortable silence becomes for people who are used to controlling conversations. They ask invasive questions, expecting immediate answers. They pressure you for explanations, hoping you'll reveal your doubts. They demand instant decisions because urgency leaves little room for wisdom, but you don't owe everyone unlimited access to your thoughts. Sometimes the most powerful response is a calm pause followed by a simple, respectful refusal. No long speech, no emotional defense, just quiet certainty. There's another truth that many people resist accepting. Every meaningful boundary carries a price. Some people will become offended when they realize they can no longer manipulate you. Others will accuse you of changing. A few may even attempt to punish you with silence, criticism, or rejection. Do not mistake these reactions as signs that your boundaries are wrong. More often, they are proof that your boundaries are working. Those who benefited from your lack of limits will always be the first to complain when limits appear. Understand this clearly. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's expectations. Your responsibility is to protect your integrity, your energy, and your peace of mind. Every unnecessary argument drains your attention. Every toxic relationship steals time that could have been invested in growth. Every compromise made against your deepest values weakens the respect you have for yourself. The most respected individuals are rarely those who try to please everyone. They are the ones whose principles remain steady, even when others disapprove. They don't need to announce their standards because their behavior speaks for them. Their consistency quietly communicates what they will accept and what they will not. That quiet confidence becomes a shield that discourages manipulation before it even begins. As your boundaries grow stronger, something unexpected happens. You stop attracting people who are searching for someone to control, and you begin attracting those who value honesty, mutual respect, and personal responsibility. Your relationships become fewer but far more meaningful. Your words become fewer, but they carry greater weight. Your presence becomes calmer because it is no longer built on the exhausting need to satisfy everyone around you. Remember this: every boundary you defend is a declaration that your peace is no longer available for negotiation. Before you leave, remember this: the greatest victory in life is not manipulating others. It is becoming someone no one can manipulate. Every time you master your emotions, question appearances, and defend your boundaries, you reclaim a piece of your freedom. The world will always be filled with people who seek influence, but only you decide who gains access to your mind. If this message challenged the way you see people, then your transformation has already begun. Subscribe for more timeless psychological insights. And until next time, stay observant, stay disciplined, and become the one mind no one can ever control. Before you leave, remember this. The greatest victory in life is not manipulating others. It is becoming someone no one can manipulate. Every time you master your emotions, question appearances, and defend your boundaries, you reclaim a piece of your freedom. The world will always be filled with people who seek influence,